You sit for each?
Ted, I guess you got home just over an hour ago. How do you feel?
Very good, actually. The nurses did a great job of patching me back up together. But I was never really that much in, I was in distress. I knew exactly most times where I was.
Do you remember when you got rescued?
Yes, well, I don't remember when I exactly got rescued, but I knew very quickly after I was being rescued. And I remember, the first thing I remember, people talking to me, and they told me they were police officers, and like I told you that, they said they would build a campfire, but I couldn't understand why police officers were building a campfire. So that might have been, I thought it was a delusion at that point, what was happening. But suddenly they started taking me through the bush, and I had the moon. I could see the moon all the time, so I knew I was going in a straight line. When we got to the ambulance, when all the lights came on, I was there, and the ambulance took me in, and then they started asking questions. And the first mistake, they asked me what year it was. I said 2020. And I said, no, 2020. And after that, the questions were all answered, and I was pretty well secure when I heard them phone the hospital and say that he seems to be in good shape, he seems to know where he is, and he's answered all my questions.
Tell me about that, and again, last thing I want to do is hold both of you up. Did you lose out hope when you were in the woods?
No, you don't lose out hope, ever, because what's the point of it? If it's the end, it's the end. But you don't lose hope. You should always try to find your way out. I kept my mind always on what I was trying to do. But it was interesting because I didn't see any cabins, I didn't see any trail markers, I didn't see any sign of human beings for a while. At one point, I was in the woods and I could hear the helicopters overhead, but they couldn't see me and I couldn't see them.
It was that dense.
It was that dense at points, but other times it wasn't. And one of the problems was that if you're in the woods long enough, you start having imagination or illusion, and that became frustrating because I thought a lake might be up in a place where a lake and a cabin might be. I get in the woods and the lake would disappear. But that's just part of being in the woods. But
yeah. Do you remember taking off some of your clothes?
Oh, that's a funny story. Yes, halfway through the second day, me and Seal were in a real bad rainstorm. There was a lot of mud. And at one point I lost a shoe. And I decided that I had the other one and it wasn't doing much good walking one shoe. And after I lost it, I kept on going. I realized I didn't need it. And even when I got out, there was no trouble with my feet whatsoever. But yes, and then I got rid of the other one. The other two things that happened, I was in a real rainstorm and my shirt was nearly dry. I had nowhere to put it, so I took off my shirt and I put it against a tree and leaned it over, hoping to protect it. It worked out well until it rained again. Then that was gone. But I left a hockey shirt behind. I took off the other one because it was cold, so that was two pieces of clothing. Somewhere along the line, my hat came off on a tree and it didn't miss. I lost it too. But the interesting, both of them have grafting on it.
Do you have much experience in the woods?
Yeah, I have a lot of experience in the woods. Yeah.
But survival experience?
Yes, enough. I read enough about it. I knew what to do anytime I went to sleep. I had a big stick. I nearly stepped on a baby's bear when I got out of that place in a hurry, and she followed me a long way after. But once I got away from her, she knew I hadn't touched her baby. She was all right. So that was great.
So tell me a bit about that, and forgive me, and you tell me if I'm going on too long because I don't want to tie up him or you too much. But tell me about the bear thing.
The bear thing actually was quite interesting because I saw actually three different types of bear. There was one cub. The first one I ran into was a mother and a cub at that time, and the second one I ran into with two bears and a cub. And the third one I ran into, I nearly stepped on the cub. And I wanted out of there in a hurry, and I took off. And I looked behind, and within 5 minutes, she was following me.
The mother?
Yeah, the mother. But not once did they try to put the cub up the tree. because I don't think they were in danger. And I watched them, and it was really funny because they went ahead and they went ahead, and when I looked for them, they lied down behind a tree. I could see this big body with this big thing behind this small tree. So I knew they were following me, but I just kept away in a straight line, and they realized I wasn't any danger to them.
So if I get this right, 5 days and 4 nights lost in the woods?
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's right.
So 5 days and 4 nights lost in the woods?
Actually, 4 days and 4 nights.
4 nights, 4 nights.
Yeah.
No food, no water?
Water, definitely. All kinds of water.
But no food?
No food. I couldn't, and that was interesting because I know the woods, and I thought I would find some berries along a road. Well, she was the lucky one. I'm glad.
I found one berry.
Yeah. The one other thing I wanted to say regards to bears is when I got scared of that baby bear, then I hallucinated bears. But the bears I hallucinated were just weird because there was one looked like he was asleep against a tree or drunk. There was two looked like they were partners, and none of them looked dangerous. And there was one little one that was climbing like a little teddy bear was hanging from a branch. So.
Last thing I want to ask you though, if people get lost in the woods, what's the number one thing you'd advise them?
Not to get upset, because getting upset, you're lost. Okay, what's the point of getting upset? What's the point of thinking you're going to die? I always said the first thing they should do is think back. Did they leave any messages? If they lost messages, I went up to a campground or a cliff, then they will know where you are. Stay where you are, stay in the open. But if you don't leave a message, and no one knows at the cabin, we closed it, people came up, knocked on the door, and they'd gone for a walk and left, then you had to make a decision. And one of the decisions I had to make, and I so hope never have to make that decision again. Seal didn't want to split up. And I felt that splitting up was the best thing we do. And we did split up because I left her. I didn't say where I was going. I just disappeared in the bush.
Oh, so you meant to leave?
Yes, I definitely meant to.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until after.
Yeah. And in doing that, it worked because she was out of the bush within, 24 hours after.
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one of us would have survived no matter what had happened.
Yeah. And Cecilia, come on in. My last question to you.
Yes.
A, what was it like being there? And B, tell me about what it was like to see him.
Okay. It was after I split up, however that happened, I stumbled onto a ATV trail, as you know. It was really tough hiking. I would have fallen in the mud many, many more times than I did, if not for a good solid walking stick. But as long as I could keep walking, I wanted to keep walking. You got to try every chance you have. That's the important thing. Because as Ted says, nobody was expecting us. Nobody was looking for us. We're on our own.
Did you feel helpless? Because you told me that you felt like it was the end.
I was prepared to accept that I didn't see any way out. I took a lucky turn on an ATV trail, and that's how I got out.
But you have to realize it could be the end. But
yeah.
you don't think about it, and you try to do it. And the one thing I did do, and that why I was so weak after, as soon as daybreak showed up, even though I couldn't see all the trees, I was starting to move. And I kept going all day until night. And that, I think, helped me because I slept well at night even though I was cold.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You're so tired you can sleep on the ground.
What was it like when you knew that Ted was okay?
It was Friday morning before I knew. I had a terrible night Thursday night because it started to rain again, and I thought, this is his second night in the rain. I don't know what the odds are because he was weak when I lost him. But I got up in the morning. I understand from my son who was staying with me that they knocked on the door at 4 o'clock to tell him he had been found. So as soon as I woke up, Mark let me sleep in, and when I woke up he told me. And I thought, well, that erases all, well, erases a lot of the ordeal for me.
But we had another experience that we didn't expect, and I don't know, because we picked, and the second night was our campground when it rained as hard as...
Oh yeah, when it rained in the night.
We got one heck of a rainstorm in one night, and all we had was a tarp, which we put all over ourselves. And then we decided to sit up, and luckily we did, because I could feel my feet. I was sitting with my feet on the ground. Next thing I was sitting like on a chair. And there was a hole going up beside me. Seal was in that hole at one point. Remember that?
So this is when you were lost?
Yeah.
This was our second night out.
And you couldn't see anything.
It was raining and it was
So I finally said, look, we have to get out of here. And we just found the hill.
He basically bullied me up the side of a muddy cliff. He wouldn't shut up till I, come on, come on. So he bullied me up the side of a muddy cliff.
I was scared if she had a cave in, there would have been no help.
And it was dark, right?
What do you say to the people, and I'm sure you've heard from a lot of them, but what do you say to the people that prayed, did everything they could, like that had their hearts? You were in everybody's hearts and minds in this community. And, you know, I'm sure you've got a lot of, or heard a lot, but maybe not. I'm the only pain. But, I mean, tell me what your thoughts are for all the people.
I think that somehow we must have felt it because we didn't give up hope. We kept on trying, and it paid off. And hearing those good wishes in person when I got out was put a lot of sunshine into the situation for me.